Okay, you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jenna Blackard,
And I'm Leonka Reina.
and this is the How to Hustle Morning Show. Today's guest is Ambujam Rose, one of my personal favorites. As you know, she's been on the show for about 4 times this year. I think this will be our fourth show. We have a brand new offer, and today we're really going to focus on some of the trauma and drama that we deal with family and holiday. And we're going to release a bunch of past patterns, and hopefully, we can twist your arm and do a little group activation as well.
Ooh, always exciting. But before we
Mhm.
jump onto all this, let's do our check-in and just
Yeah.
so that you always know our hosts and we can let you know what we got going on and do a little bit of space weather news. Jenna, how
Okay.
are you doing? How was this weekend?
Great. So, as you might have known, I spent the weekend in Virginia with my 28-year-old son, who recently moved there last July. He has a new job and a new life and a puppy and four kitties in his
Oh
apartment.
goodness, they are a whole big family.
And I went down specifically because my husband and my son are training for the Dopey in Disney World come January.
Oh, very cool.
With the Dopey, what that includes is 4 days of races, a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and then the next day after the half is the full marathon. So in total, they run 42.6 or something
Uh-huh,
miles
uh-huh.
over 4 days. And then they get, I don't know, why people, take their bodies to that depth, but it is fun watching them train for sure. And they ran a half marathon on trails in and around Washington, D.C. last Sunday, and they had
Nice.
a sub 10, which means that they did it together a little bit faster than a 10-minute mile.
Nice. Very
So
cool.
I'm super
Ah, I'm so
proud of
smart.
them. If you can see pictures of my family and everything. I now have an Instagram where I'm sharing my personal life.
Yes.
So that was my weekend. I mean, it was really totally consumed with a lot of dinners out and a lot of their training and PT,
Yeah.
which is a part of it, them just constantly working on, keeping their legs loose and warm and
Wow.
things like that. So uh, fun. It's just a different life being a marathon wife, a wife of a marathoner or
Okay,
something, right?
okay, okay.
Yeah, but I think every time you travel, it just changes your vibe in
Sure.
some way.
Did you have any new downloads? Speaking of changing your
A
vibe.
couple, but I'm not going to share them today
What?
because they're
Oh,
deep ones.
oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay. So a
absolutely.
little more fleshing out with that,
Yeah.
right? Okay, cool. Well, we will stay tuned. See, that's why we do a check-in. And for me, this weekend, we had a really good time. I got to have a girls' weekend with not the whole weekend. Actually, I'm lying. It was just a day. It was Sunday, kind of fun day, and
Fun.
it ended early because that's just where we are in life, I guess. I'll just put that out there. But we got started at brunch and we did like a couple of little hot spots and kind of like all the different things to like good nachos and fun and margaritas. Of course, mine's a virgin, but all nonetheless, it's still great to hang out and have like good belly laughs with the
Yep.
girls. And so these are girlfriends that I grew up with. And so we have a lot of those memories of, just so not so quiet and quiet times. And they're my friends that, really know some of my deepest, darkest secrets, if you will,
Mhm.
or those kinds of things. So it's always fun to and don't judge. And
Yeah.
I think that's what's
No, I
important.
get that's true around your
Yeah.
whole friend group.
Yeah.
They just don't judge.
I think that's been like the biggest thing that's been I like I'm really proud of that
Mhm.
because and anytime somebody tries to get kind of judgy or whatever, it's like, but hey, is she having, is she
Yeah,
happy? Is she healthy?
right.
Or are the kids happy, healthy, educated, and safe? Yeah. All right, cool. Let them do.
Sometimes not, but
But cool. Like we all have our different approaches, but at the end of
yeah.
the day, like if somebody tries to be that type, I'm really like, keep you at afar.
Yeah.
And for those people that are
Absolutely.
non-judgy, that's my closest friends. Like, I feel
Mhm.
like I'm super like that with you. Like,
Yeah.
we're totally non, like, we just let it all out.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like sometimes I will talk and gossip about others still in a kind of a judgy way, but in general, I don't feel like that's a part of my world anymore. I
No,
grew out of it.
totally not in my world anymore. Like, and honestly, I kind of just find myself like kind of shutting down if I
Yeah.
start hearing that. And I'm like,
Well, and then if somebody is super judgy, you kind of look at them like,
why are you there?
well, they just have a little bit more personal development work to do on
Yeah,
themselves,
right, right.
You're like, oh, poor you.
I
You're
remember
not
being
as happy
there.
as us.
I remember feeling like that.
Right.
You get there.
Right.
I'll pay. Whatever, right? And I think that's important. But and to lead into that, yesterday was 11/11.
Yes, and I literally left the Airbnb at 11. And I arrived at Starbucks and I opened my computer and I was like, oh, it's 11:11 at
oh my God.
11.
I love this. I love this. And you sent me a little message to let me know.
And get this, my flight left 11:11 at 5:55.
I like this.
Yep.
I like this. Yeah, I was sitting at a table with one of the people that I worked on that whole project with the Nostradamus sessions,
Yeah.
and I met her for lunch, and we sat at table 11. And yeah, it was really cool. The whole day was really cool. Yeah. And we had some pretty good ahas, and she shared all about Egypt and the vibrations there, and that was interesting conversation that I'll talk about more eventually as well. And so, and what's the next steps for that project as well. So it'd be pretty interesting to be able to start to release some of that, all and much more of those sessions and that whole endeavor. So very cool. Stay tuned.
There were numbers all over us. The numbers started with 222.
Oh
Both of theirs.
I love that. Are you kidding?
That was awesome.
Oh, I know.
So many numbers.
Well, let's get into the space weather news and really welcome into that 11/11 portal.
We're
Thank
almost
you.
11:11 Central Time.
Oh, of course, right? I love that so much. It says in Mystic Space weather news, today is 11/12/24, almost at 11/11, and we are in the 5th day in a row for continued chance of strong flares. The sunspot AR 3889 poses a threat for strong Earth-directed solar flares. The sunspot's Delta-class magnetic field is unstable and harbors energy for significant explosions. And gosh, I just found some research that talks about the different sun's ability for upgrades and the energy that we receive and just how it really changes our DNA. So I'm really excited about releasing some of that information. As I always talk about the sun and the flares, there's really a lot more science around this, especially as we look at how this interfacts and affects our ascension, right? So I'm super excited to kind of dive into that. And I'm always kind of sharing this, and I just wanted to give you a reason why and a little precursor. And it says the NOAA forecasters estimate a 25% of X-class solar flares on November 12th. So that's tomorrow. Just be on the lookout. And then a part of Mystic Space Weather News, a little message I wanted to share comes from Sparks of the Divine on the internet. Light Healing on Instagram. And she says, urgent message. You're on the verge of making a choice that's been bugging you for so long now. You're finally seeing things from a whole different perspective. You are living all the pain and trauma of your past and experiencing every single bit of that pain that reminds you of your strength and resilience. You are looking at yourself from a more loving lens. The heart chakra is opening and you are allowing yourself to feel and heal. You are on the verge of choosing yourself after a very long time. You feel anxious and increased heart palpitations, sadness, glum, panic attacks, depressive episodes right now. She says, sleep longer and drink more fluids. Don't I always say that? Come on.
Do that anyway.
I know. We were just talking about that. And hydrate the system and rest to heal better. Yesterday was a day for rest for me. I probably because I left my house for longer than I normally leave. But also, let's get a little bit more sunshine. And if you're not, please maybe do some vitamin D as well. So that's my Mystic Space weather news for the day. Yay, let's jump
Yay.
in. We've got a great show for you
Oh
today,
my
guys.
gosh, I'm so excited about this topic.
Let's do this.
And she's just one of my favorite
for
people on
sure.
this earth because she's
sure.
so cool. It's fun. As soon as we talk, it's like, hi.
Little souls me for real. Like, I love it so much.
And every time, it's sort of like strong talk with Ambujam sometimes, you know? It's like, I don't know that I really want to hear what she has to say, but I know that I need to hear what she's saying, and I'm going to resist it, and I'm going to fight it, and then I'm going to go, oh, once again.
Let's just be open-minded, right? Let's come into this with so much heart
Yeah.
and love. Hello, Ambujam.
Hi,
Welcome.
you guys. Hi, everybody. It's so good to be here. I'm ready to jump in.
Let's go.
Great.
I feel like, sorry,
Go ahead, you go.
I
You
have
go.
some things to say.
Okay, go for it.
Do you want to say anything, what you're going to say first, and then I can just share
No,
some
I was
stuff?
just going to say I love this topic. I'm excited to get into it in a different way, closer to the holidays.
So I want to give you guys, so whenever we look at something psychically, there's like to me, everything's like this multifaceted jewel, and you're looking at different aspects and different facets of different things all the time. So are we looking at the entire whole picture all the time? No. And so we get shown different pieces of, the puzzle, right? And like if we all shared our psychic imagery right now or feelings about what's going on, we'd all have different pieces of the puzzle, right? Because we all have our different perspectives and stuff like that, right? Which is so helpful. So I'm going to share 2 overall things that I see happening right now.
Great.
I'm going to start with the second one, actually. We are, quote, under attack. Okay. I'm not saying this to scare anybody, and I'm not saying this to be negative. We are stepping into our power in a way we have never have, to a degree we never have. And so what I'm seeing is each one of us is under scrutiny energetically right now of all of our, quote, weak spots, all of our stuff, all of our wounding that's really significant to becoming who we are right now is being attacked, is energy doesn't want us to go forward. And we can be experiencing anything from, we can experience it emotionally, mentally, physically. We can feel like, what is wrong with me? I'm losing my mind. I can't quite feel clear and centered and directed. There's so much energy happening right now because of the amount of each individual's power and self that is activating. And so I don't say this to scare you. I say this for awareness, which I'm going to get into in a second. So I'm going to go back to that topic in a second. But the overall thing is we are entering into the end of year energies. We are entering into the holiday energies. And always at the end of the year, which kind of starts a lot, and it starts in September most years, but we don't really start feeling the quickening until kind of like now, kind of like right before Thanksgiving and then through the holidays. What each end of year energies do is they propel us forward into our next levels of self, and everything heightens and like almost like getting ready to burst us through into the new year, right? So we're just entering those. And so everything can feel like your stuff is like this, in your face, really loud. You can go through waves of like, oh my God, I feel the most amazing I've ever felt, to all the way down, oh my God, I feel the worst I've ever felt. So overall, why I'm sharing all of this with you guys is because I want to let you know that you are very heightened. Things are very, very heightened right now. And the awareness work is, if you're feeling, quote, under attack, the awareness work is, how is this getting in my field, I wonder? What in me looks delicious to energy And when you bring your awareness to how things are enhancing your fears, enhancing the physical stuff, enhancing the mental stuff, when you start to ask those questions and you bring your awareness to these parts of you, it's always this like portal to empowerment, because it's bringing your awareness to something that you're not conscious of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the brain, right? And so,
Yeah.
um,
I feel
it
like that's
never,
going on with personally. I was like, why have I never seen this before?
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
we are at, it's like awareness and awakening and kind of the evolution is like this blossoming flower. It's always blossoming, it's always blossoming, it's always blossoming. And we don't see the petals that are just underneath. So we've been through the other petals and now these are so brand new. And yet we're like, well, this is my stuff I've always known. And yet I have never felt it to this degree or got this type of information or felt it like I'm feeling it now. And so we are, all of us, each one of us, whatever it looks like in the world, we are evolving into our next. I don't even want to use the word spiritual, because what isn't spiritual?
Mm-hmm.
I just
I
want
see
to,
where you're going with that.
right? We're
Mhm.
evolving into our next expression of who and what we really are. And so the levels that we're starting to get into, like we haven't even really begun, like we're just on the cusp of this massive kind of exfoliating, propelling energy. We're just at the cusp. So I'm really glad we're doing this show today versus more deeper into November or deeper into December. And so what I want to, so let me just share this too. So because things are more, because we're going deeper into our evolution and becoming who we really are, our deeper petals are being shown, which means our stuff is louder, which means our stuff that we're seeing is deeper. So how we stay in our quote center, how we ride this wave is harder than ever, because this stuff is so loud and it's some really deep identities that we've been forever, at least in this life, right? So up to this very moment, you've had identities that you just think are you that are breaking down right now. So how we navigate this time is really different than ever before, because of the level of depths of purifying, clearing, reconciling that we're doing. And so what I feel like I want to share is, because we're at new depths, it means there's deeper truth, deeper true self, deeper heart, deeper beingness that's available too. And to practice tapping into the curiosity of like, wow, I have no idea what's actually here right now. Like, what does my deeper self feel like or look like? And to be like a child and curious and in wonderment, to be like, how do I even navigate this? I don't know how. I actually don't know. I knew how to navigate a year ago or 6 weeks ago or whatever it was, right? And that we're starting again and again and again and again and again. So there's a heightening is the end
Yeah.
of the day answer. And so
I love it though. I mean, that is
it's,
how we grow. It's, I mean,
yeah,
you said you started with attack, and I was like, I love where this is going already, because it's not so much an attack as much as it is, being hit with awareness, being hit with awareness that's outside of our box. As
outside of our
from how
box. Yeah.
I see it,
Mhm.
like we're being hit, but outside of our what our known box is. So how lucky are we in a way?
Yep. It's like every single thing, and I've been seeing this for 30 years doing my work with people. Our lives are so hand carved for each of us to wake the F up, period.
Mm-hmm.
And every single thing we go through, every single thing, every single thing, every single interaction, every single thing, every single breath all day long is to wake us up to who we really are
Mm-hmm.
and empower. And yeah. So yeah, like you said, like it's out of our box that we've
Yeah.
known.
Yeah. Well, can we like kind of open the door? Like we are about to embark on a lot of self-awareness as we enter the gates of family gatherings. I mean, there's no greater personal development than family gatherings,
No,
right?
That's
teachers. I love
right.
our teachers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I just had one and I know myself so well. And yet I feel like
Mm.
there's this constant wrongness that I sense that other people have on me. It's on me or on top of me. That's kind of icky. It's like this ickiness. I was telling Lianka we played this herd game. It's like go with the herd or something. And y'all are supposed to say, what are the best eggs? And then try to predict what everyone's going to say. Right. And so, I hate scrambled eggs, but yet I chose scrambled eggs because I thought that would probably be the most common scrambled eggs, right? Well, one of the questions was among the group, which would be who would show up the latest? And then half the group chose me, which is never, ever, ever true. And, it stings a little and it makes me wonder, well, what am I putting out there that makes people think those things about me, even though that's never true? I'd never, ever, ever. I'm actually like such a stickler with my kids on it. My daughter didn't choose me, of course, and neither did my son or my husband, but everyone else did. So what is that, right? And I'm just bringing this up for hopefully the whole audience will think, well, what are people perceiving about me? And how can I come into my own strong enough so that I can show up? And even if people judge me in that way, how can I love it anyway and be fine that they have that point of view? Can we kind of take the conversation to, or am I derailing things?
No.
Good. Okay.
Well,
great.
okay. So I'm going to give you an answer that's coming, but it's the hardest thing to do. Who effing cares?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, that's
So-
where I've gotten myself, but
No, but-
5 years ago, I was nowhere near that.
So the bigger picture is, and it's true for our path. It's like we have this idea of how our evolution and how our embodiment should look when we enter a family situation, and then we have to uphold. We're in this expectation of ourselves from the get-go. And when I said who cares, it's almost like the practice is, and this is why I said it's the hardest thing to do. You just let be what is. Who cares? And then you get upset, and then who cares? And then you feel judged, and then who cares? It's like there is no more idea that can ever be upheld of what being stronger looks like. And so it's this foundational teaching, really, of regardless of what situation we're in and with who, it's the ideas of how we should be our awakened, spiritual, stronger, empowered self with another that actually is creating the suffering and creating the effort versus, well, what if the practice is the situation's going to be what it is and I just show up and I walk through it and I have my experiences and that's all. That's it.
Well,
And
yeah. And I guess the question is what is required for us to get that congruent in our
Nothing.
essence?
That's my point. Nothing.
Like, in other words, the question is the mute point, right? So in other words, there's no need for even that question to have to get, I got it. Easier said than done.
That's why I'm saying it's
Yeah,
the
because you
simplest
want to be
answer.
perfect in everybody's
Yep.
eyes or something. I mean, like,
I love you.
Well, it's
Thank you for doing that for us, though.
well, we're up against our it's like when you blur your eyes, it's always, oh, my Boston accent just came out. When you blur your eyes, everything is the same. So we're always walking into a situation with some sort of expectation at the end of the day. Then it just gets more subtle. But it's really, if you blur your eyes, the same thing. We're walking into our family situation with the stress of, well, I've done all this healing, I've done all this awakening, so I should be X. And then you walk in and you're more triggered than ever. Things are louder than ever. And so because we're more sensitive and we're more open and we're actually more in our heart and we are more vulnerable. And so it's the idea that we're actually walking into and the expectation of how it should look versus just what it is. So it's Spirit's like, how do you really play a game if you're pretending to play a game? Can't.
Well,
you have to be,
shoot, I got that.
you have to
Holy
be
moly.
full.
Wait, maybe I didn't get it entirely
So
because I feel like you had an epiphany and I just kind of got it.
So if I brought a board game to the three of us and the three of us are hanging out and I'm like, hey, let's play a game. And
Right, let's play one with you. I think that might end up in my favor. Among the three of us, which would be the latest?
well, Jenith, that would be you, obviously. So if we're trying to play a game and you have to put your pieces on the board and you have to play with whatever the game is, you have to be fully in the game to play. And if you're not, and if you're kind of like still studying the rule book, being like, well, it should look like this, Lianka and I would be like, dude, like, we need you to play. You're not playing.
Yeah.
And so Lianka and I are like full in, playing the game, moving our pieces, getting the card, answering the question, moving our things. And you're like, well, shouldn't it be like this though? Or shouldn't it look like this? Or maybe I'll just rise above the whole game and I'll just kind of be in my idea of what the game is. So you're never fully playing the game. And so the metaphor is that for life, we're always just kind of above it, especially those of us on this freaking path, because it's a double-edged sword. Awareness is our double-edged sword. It's almost better in a certain way when you're naive and you don't know better.
That's so
Because then
funny.
you're just in it.
Yeah.
And so to the expectation of how we should look with our family or how we should feel or how we should be because we've done all this healing or because I should feel stronger, I should look stronger, or not so much look, I should behave in these ways because of all this healing I've done and how I feel inside, and it's not completely translating. It's all the idea of what it is, just like not playing the game versus just being in what it is. And there's taking all the specialness off and all the preciousness off of what we make it be.
All the insignificant, like making it insignificant, like we're making it too significant, all of it.
Too significant,
Yes.
all of it.
Got it.
And that the child, if you watch a child, they're just like hanging out playing, let's say they're like 3, they're just like playing. And it's the adults that have all their ideas about life and work and this and that. It's not bad or wrong. It's just what it is. Before that child mind kind of kicks in or gets taught how you not be a child anymore. You be this now. It's like, okay, right?
Yeah.
It's life. But I feel, and this is where words are really hard because words can never be the truth, ever, 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 because it's a word. So words can point to the truth. They're pointers. And so the pointer is, don't make it anything. And how do you completely relax and actually
be like, interesting point of view. Like for real.
Like for real. And that's the practice. It's like, so when I was first going through my awakening, I had a lot of comparisons for whatever reason. Like for like 2 whole years, I was like, wow, I remember when I used to feel like this. And now I'm like this. Whoa, cool. Right. And so I was living in this town, and there was this one time I was looking outside and there was a telephone pole leaning. And because of my awakening over the last year or so, I learned a lot of stuff. And so I learned a lot about how I put story on things and an overlay on things versus what they really are. And so I would practice a lot when I would like walk around this town, not having a label or a title. And I would just, or or let the labels and titles fall away from things and actually
Mhm.
feel and experience people and things and be like, well, what is this if I'm not putting a title that I learned in school? You know, like this is called a cup. What if it's called something else? We all agree this is a cup. But if I take the word cup off and I actually just like am present with it, I'm like, what is this thing? I don't know. Right. So I'm standing in my window and I'm looking at this telephone pole leaning. And I was like, interesting. So if I fully believed in my belief system and my story right now, I could have two stories that I would fully believe in and then have emotional reaction. Story number
Interesting.
one, oh, this telephone pole is leaning. Stupid town. They can't even fix their telephone pole to make it go straight. This town sucks. And then I have this whole like emotional freaking story about it,
About
right?
the whole town. Yeah.
About the whole town. And then
Oh,
I'm
wow.
outside and
Yeah.
I'm like, stupid, lazy, right? Or my story is, oh my God, what the most adorable town ever. They have a telephone pole that's leaning. So cute. And then I walk around and my whole day is that. You're so cute and you're so cute and you're so cute.
Yep.
Either one is a freaking lie that I just made up in my freaking head. Meanwhile, it's
But-
just a telephone pole leaning. That's
Mhm.
all that's happening. And when I
Yeah.
dive into this is all that's happening and I'm with the telephone pole leaning, what is my experience from there? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it's I don't want to say it's real because my other experience that I just made up in my head about the telephone pole is real too.
Or there's nothing to say about the telephone pole and you just keep going on your life.
Yep.
Right? I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
the Leaning Tower of Pisa is actually like an art piece, right?
Exactly. So maybe think of
So
it.
I know.
so the family situation, how do we walk in just as is without even not trying to make something a story either? It's pure. Like we just walk in pure. This is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oop, I totally was not resonant with how I just spoke from how I feel inside. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever reaction you'll have, you have. It's again, it's like we work too hard in a
Yeah.
way, right? And then the
Mhm.
other thing on a kind of a deeper, I don't want to say deeper, wider level that we need to be aware of is all the souls, they're all evolving too. And they're freaked out inside too.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all going through this crazy, wild, freaking wild brain thing. We're just like, what? And nobody knows what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a piece too.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because to share this because I feel the simplicity of it. I feel what's being said because I'm not like making this up. I'm not deciding, well, let's bring the conversation this way. This is what's coming through to address,
Mm.
right? And I feel the simplicity of it. I feel the relaxation of it. But to say it in words is the hard part, you know.
Yeah. One of the fun things that happened that when I realized that I was almost just stepping into what I knew was my husband's sister's into cognitive behavioral therapy, like as an actual practice. She's a speech pathologist. She's a professor at a university, and she's great at it. But we walked into the spiritual place and there was a Reiki practitioner. And I was like, oh my gosh, have you ever gotten Reiki? Right? I mean, that is like almost very similar to some of the work that I do with like this hands-on fifth dimensional frequency type work. I mean, it just is such a lovely, beautiful, delicious energy. And she's like, yeah, that's just a little too far out of my, area. And I mean, I, in my heart, and we went into this place and they had, frequencies of scents. They had frequencies of like all the different chakras and candles. And it was like my playground. And I'm like so in love. And the Reiki practitioner is talking to me. And I'm like, kind of like, ooh, I need to be a little quiet because she doesn't believe in this at all. And I find that usually it's my mouth, when I start to like talk about things beyond the science and just talk about the experience is when I really need to kind of rein it in. So when we do have these family gatherings, Ambujam, would you suggest that we don't overshare? Would that help so that you're shaking your head?
Same answer.
Same answer, exactly. Be in your own.
Be
Share
be in
and
be
let
in the
them feel uncomfortable.
be in the moment. You know that
Mhm.
I forgot to share
No doubt.
part of what was coming through about on a really deep level why we go into expectation of how we should be is to be safe. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Like it's
Well,
if you
what do you
back
mean by
up-
safe? Let's I mean that's miles deep. It's not like we're gonna get knifed. Right? I mean, let's
But
talk
you
about
might,
what you mean
but
by
you
safe.
might get judged in your
Yeah.
perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean
then-
that
And
which
that
is like
could feel
being
miles
knifed.
deep. Yes. For
Fair
some.
Yeah,
boots.
so
Yeah,
if-
right. For some.
Right.
yeah, so if we like back it all the way up,
Mhm.
there's a core reason why we create an expectation and walk into a situation with it is to be safe. Without the expectation, if we back it all the way up and we walk in completely present, there's nothing safe about that to our parts. They have to plan ahead. They have to create something to walk into a situation with. It's really deep. It's a pretty
Yeah, this is
core
good.
knee-jerk kind of reaction to being in a form, really. So I was going to say being human, but it's not just human. So we have all these parts of us that have been hurt and they're scared and they have trauma. And they don't, it's not like to them, they might get knifed. It's not too safe for them to walk into a situation just open and curious. And so there's this foundational habit we do to have an expectation of a situation to be safe. So again, if I just use a telephone pole analogy, if I don't have an expectation or a story that's creating a wall between me and my life, telephone pole good, telephone pole bad, I take that away and I'm just purely present. How do I feel safe? I don't in that situation. So when you're asking these questions, it's all about preparing to be safe, right? Really, at the end of the day, it's preparing to.
Or to preparing
Feel.
yourself to look your best and not be judged.
Why
To
does
be on your best behavior and not be judged.
Which is
But-
about being safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was just trying to use other words so people really got
Yeah, I could feel it.
safety.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the-
This is a
you
cool
know-
conversation because I mean, I have left so many family gatherings and just felt like unworthy or not good enough.
Yeah.
And
Well-
it's gone. It's almost disappeared after this trip. But I mean, I think it could still happen to me.
Yeah, and
I'm
that's
not-
okay.
I'm still
That's what I'm
vulnerable to
saying,
it.
and that's
Yeah.
okay, right? And
Well,
like,
and then I guess the question would be if that is true and you are leaving family situations and friend situations feeling judgment and unworthy, then I guess then the question becomes, how do we process that? How do we get
Mhm.
outside the box and 100% own and embody all of who we are?
You just answered the question. Own and
You own and
embody all of it.
that you are. Yeah.
So
Love it.
spirit saying, and again, this is way easier said than done, but
They always speak to us like that. I love
Yeah,
it.
'cause they
just own it. Just be it.
yeah, because they provide just the foundational, most simple. Like when the
It's
truth,
true.
like
Yeah.
whenever we feel our intuition inside, it just presents the
Mhm.
simple. It's just like bonk.
Yeah.
It doesn't defend it. It doesn't explain it. It just goes, "Meow. Here you go. Right.
I know.
And so
Hmm.
if we and this is almost like, I almost feel like I have to have new words and a new language to even approach your question about, well, how do we process? Now I've left the situation and now I feel like shit about myself. Ugh, there's this again, right? How do I process this? And how we know how to process it is we either face it head on to be like, okay, here's my unworthiness again. What layer now do I need to heal and be aware of?
Mm.
Or we speak to it and be like, hey there, little one. Guess you're all triggered and unworthy. I hear you and I love you and I wrap my arms around you. And, what do you need?
Mhm.
Right? Or we this, or we that, or we this, or we that. But the new level of evolution says to us what you said. How do you embody everything as you are? And
Mhm.
it's like we need a different approach. If we can't, so this is some 2025 stuff that hasn't happened yet.
Oh.
Right?
Oh,
So
nice.
just like every year, we enter into a higher consciousness. And in the beginning of the year, the first few months, we're all like, duh, what's going on? We got to figure it out. Right? We have all this new energy, either within us or both in us and around us, of New Year energy. And we're all kind of bumbling through it until we figure out, oh, this is how you ride this ride. Okay, got it. Right? Takes a while. So evolution is just like that flower blossoming. Up to our point in evolution, we've approached our healing and our stuff and our feelings in a very specific way, all kinds of ways, right? And we know them and we still are doing them. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, for real, there's nothing wrong with it. But evolution says, hey, because you're evolving and there's different levels of your consciousness surfacing, how would this approach that question?
Mhm.
Okay. And we don't know yet, but we feel the old ways are getting old. They're kind of losing their juice. And I may be talking about something that's a little too soon, but I have to talk
No,
about it.
yeah,
Okay.
No, it's good.
it's right on. In
So,
fact, I just had this conversation at lunch yesterday when you started with facets of not being able to see our different facets of ourselves sometimes. And because I had real questions, I was like, well, what do you think about this? Well, it just comes back to we have different facets, and it's very timely.
Hmm.
And what you're
So-
saying is like taking it further from me.
yeah, it's like
Ugh.
our 12-year-old self, if you say to the 12-year-old, hey, in a few years, the clothes you're wearing won't even fit. And when you're 40, blah, 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 blah. And the 12-year-old goes, bro.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these different ways that we're going to start approaching our healing and our quote stuff, we don't know them yet. We haven't experienced them yet, but we can feel we're at the edge of something changing.
Yes.
And it's
Mhm.
like, as we're all having this conversation right now, it's like what's pulling out this information because of your questions. And it's like when you go to ask a question, I can feel the energy be like, nah, like, nope.
Yeah.
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 Right?
No,
We're
it's
going
it's kind of
this
I want to
way.
make this
Yeah.
noise like
And not even the question is truly, and not even the question.
sorry.
It's okay. And not
Sometimes
even
it comes out that way, though.
it's okay.
Who would be the most interruptive person? But who would also be the most pattern interruptive person?
Fun,
Okay,
energetic. It keeps
sorry.
it going. But I can't remember my question.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. We'll let Ambujam carry on.
Don't you love when deep conversations are full of laughter?
Yes,
Right.
and that's
Oh
why
my
we
God,
have
it's
fun
the
here. Even
best.
with the deepest and biggest conversations that might be tough to tackle, we do have fun here.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I feel like when some of my interviews I've watched back, I'm like, ooh, I'm the most interruptus. And I'm like, but I'm not doing it from this like idea, like I can't help it. Something comes, I got to say it, right? And so,
Agreed.
yeah, I could easily be like, and I'm like,
Well,
oh,
and I
well.
feel like as soon as the energy calls, which could be mid-sentence, it's like,
Oh,
speak.
Yes,
Especially when you're processing somebody.
and that was actually what my comment or question was. It was almost like the question is not actually the real question, and to
Right.
pull forth the information
Mhm.
of the 2025, of the new, of not even, I wouldn't even say 2025, it's of the new,
It's
of the
of the
new that we are on the cusp of.
Mhm.
And so like even my questioning
Mhm.
yesterday wasn't even fully there, right?
Mhm.
Like it's but you're right. As we collectively and uncollectively have these conversations, we're
Ooh,
pulling forth that
let's do a process
information.
right
I
now.
wanted to do a little activation
Yeah,
today.
I feel like we need to, all of us, as we're talking about this, we need to leap into this new
Yeah.
reality that's there. And it's
Woo.
not the only one, it's one of what's next blossoming petal. So we're talking about this, right? And now it's starting to energetically form in front of me, and it's like I can feel our beings are ready to just go there, this next place. So,
I'm ready.
and again, we can't think
do it.
it because we don't know it yet.
Uh-huh.
It's
Cool.
like
I'm just here.
Spirit says it's a plate of steaming food you just ordered and you've never tasted it before.
Ooh.
But once we're in it, we'll be like, oh yeah, duh. Like, of course. But it's the moment before,
Okay.
right? All right. So I'm just gonna let's see. So I'm gonna gather all of us in the way that I do to do these shifts. So this is kind of, I don't have another word besides like a galactic shift we're about to do, because it's a larger multi-dimensional parts of us, more of us. Yep. So we're doing it now. We're just kind of, it's not one big swoop. It's actually step by step here. So you guys ready, everybody? Just feeling your heart? Yes or no? So we're traveling now to where we need to go. And whenever we do a group power process like this, it's very individual. So you guys are all going where you need to go, your next levels of evolution. But we use our group power field, our energy to propel you individually, right? So as we're traveling to wherever we're going now, one thing I need to share is regret. That's a hard one. That could, it's very human, let's say, to regret. Spirit doesn't want you to ever regret, because that's the ego judging your choice. So just as the choices you're making in this very moment, you're making them actually with the awareness that you have now. Only years later can you look back and say, oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I regret X. Okay. It's really important to honor yourself, even though you may not understand why you did what you did, when you did it. Okay, yep, moving forward. Yep, you guys are starting to land now. New places. Spirit's like behind us, kind of shutting the doors from once we came, because we don't go back after this. We're just going to be in the new here, wherever that is. Yep, and now your evolution, lack of a better word, like if you have a book of your history as a soul, it's all updating now because of this leap you did to meet and match where you're at now. And then Jenna the Spirit is saying to you, we know that your analyzing mind is brilliant and it helps you, but moving forward, you're going to have to practice using that in a rightful setting. not the where you need to more feel. Okay, yep. So we're landing, stuff's ending, completing. So we do want to do a little physical healing for everybody right now because the system has been taxed with so much, even the solar flares, just everything that's been going on. So we're going to do some just healing for the physical body, updating the organ system and stuff like that. And I need your heart's permission right now. I have to ask out loud. It is safe to embody who you are on all levels. You are safe in your body. Even though we can't predict, we're safe. The present moment will always lead us to the answer. So we're kind of, we're doing clearing, but we're also updating like the first and second chakra area because the new earth where we are now and the quote new earths that will keep evolving and activating, it's like our chakra system needs to be updated to be in that relationship. So that's being updated now too. Yep. So the whole chakra system actually. And then there's a lot of expansion in whatever way that each one of you need to quote hold of the higher energy, the different evolution energy now. Whew, okay, yep. So I'm completing with your teams now, all of you. So your teams are showing me as we're just kind of integrating right now and still activating and shifting and updating. Your teams are saying to the depths of the degree that you want to be who you are is the proportionate depths that can be scary to other parts of you. So it's important to honor and listen. When we feel either like we want to be a brat or kick or just be upset, it's important to honor all of us, all of the parts of us. Yep, so I'm completing all this now with you guys. Coming out of your space. So that'll be integrating for a while. So we're in this new place. We don't have to figure it out. Just feel, be. It's like we let it teach us.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
Well, when she's like, we're traveling, I'm like, I was
Yep.
really traveling.
Yep.
I was going like speed of light thing.
Yep.
I was like getting dizzy.
I could see like lights
Yeah.
and moving.
No, that's what it was like for me
I was
too.
like, before she said it.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going into the darkness,
I'm like,
you know,
oh.
kind of thing. Like,
Wow.
wow.
It's interesting, Lianka, you said before I said it, because that's exactly how this works. So
Yeah.
when we're working together like this, it's like I see the information, it's already happening, and then I say it.
Sure.
And so a lot of people will email me and say, hey, this thing right before you said it, I was already feeling. I'm like, yep. I mean, that's cool, right? It's like so freaking cool that we're all feeling and seeing the similar or same exact thing. And
cool.
it's like there's a delay with my voice because I'm seeing it and then I say it, but you guys are already experiencing it and then I'm saying it. Yeah,
That's so cool.
It's very freaking cool, man.
Yeah. And
I'm so spacey now.
It says lots of comments from even from the chat, from the discussion.
Yeah, what they say. What
they
you guys
said,
saying?
so lots of people loved that Jenneth came forth and, great points about having to go through, some of the family stuff. Like, we feel like we're light years away from that. Like, isn't that crazy?
I know. It's
Um,
like, what happened during a
Yeah.
like a 50-minute call?
Lots of people were kind of just chiming in about being the observer, and then so taking it further fast, and it basically they say, love this, being open, yes, galactic, ready for the next thing. So everybody was just really excited. Oh my God, wow, my back was really hurting, but now it just wow, and wow, lots of hearts. Thank you, Ambujam. It's such a beautiful energy right now. It was so powerful. I mean, my voice doesn't sound the same, y'all,
I
to
don't
me.
feel
No.
the same.
Ha ha ha.
Mhm.
You can tell in my voice it's different.
Mhm.
Yes, butterflies. Oh, I love it so much. I breathe it through and release it. Yes, I did too, Valentina. And then Shara's just like, ha 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 ha.
Whee!
Yeah.
The other thing
Oh.
I want to share, this is just super interesting. I mean, it's of course, but it's just interesting what it looks like. So where we are right now and where we're going is literally endless. Like, we are limitless,
Oh, that's so cool.
and there's no end to this evolution or awakening or embodiment. Like, there is just it's there's no end. And so when we do these like leaps, it's like it's just the tip. Like, it's just the beginning. And and it's just the beginning again. And and it's just the beginning again. And and it's just the beginning again. And what's interesting is I'm taken back right now to 30 years ago when I was doing my very first readings, and I remember it looked exactly the freaking same, man. Like,
Oh, wow.
different perspective, because I hadn't had my awakening yet either. But the feeling is the same. Like, there is no limit and no end to who we are. And there's constant self-discovery, constant. It will never cease, and there's no end to get to. And I'm just remembering, like, like very viscerally, I'm feeling that feeling of like my first readings 30 years ago, same energy to this very moment of just this like like, it's a quiet excitement, quiet love, quiet joy of there is no end to what we can experience, like, ever. And it's like, to simplify it, it's a timing thing of when we're ready, and all the ripening within us is ready. Like, we didn't mentally try to choose to do that leap today, right? It was there, we did it, and we're doing it. And
Yeah.
so it's so. And then the other thing I just want to share too, and I say this a lot because it's really relevant and I want to say it now. And then can we take some callers or something
Yes,
like
please.
that?
Yes.
So when we've had our initial awakening, and I have to say the word initial because there's the first moment and then there's the rest of our lives, right? Keeps going more, right? When we've had our initial awakening, the true self, part of its natural attribute is it's always just present. It's always fresh. It's always here now. Always fresh. Never coming with any preconceived anything. It's listening to life, life's listening to it, and it makes its moves. Like, it's this constant, continuous, cascading thing. As a human, once we've had our initial awakening and we are still healing ourselves and doing healing, what's interesting about the experience of healing after awakening is, just like the leap we just made, we can't remember even where we were. We'd have to try really hard to remember because we're just here. We could remember, but we'd have to try hard, right? Like, wait, where did we start this call? Wait, I'm just here, right? During the shift and during the beginning of this call to before the shift, that was really important. And it happened. And now we're here. And as our present day true self, It's just present again. It's just here. So when we do healing as an awakened being, as an awakened human, it can feel like nothing's happened. It can feel like I'm exactly the same, but you're not, because all the healing you did mattered in that moment, and it did happen, right? And recording is stopped there.
That's okay. It
Or
says
whatever.
still recording on YouTube.
Okay,
It's
good.
fine.
So when we do all this work on ourselves, or we work with somebody else and we do all this work, in the moment we're like experiencing these things, and then after, at the end of the day, we're like, I'm just here now. Nothing happened. Or I feel exactly the same. You are not exactly the same, but your point of reference now is just where you are now. So if we were to feel where we are now, we don't really remember even making the leap. We kind of do, because it's a little fresh, right? But we're in this new place now.
Like we're totally in a new place now, which is what's really bizarre about it. In fact, I've been doing this since 2012, and I would say that that's probably the most powerful activation the quickest, most powerful, maybe is a better way to say it. I mean, I've had some strong things happen, and some, galactic things happen, but not that quick. And wow. I feel like you've gotten a lot more powerful since
I do
it's
too.
just
That's so
within this
weird.
year.
Well,
right?
that's what I'm saying. Like, we keep
That's-
evolving, right? Like, I remember when I first started my readings, and the first time ever somebody's body talked to me, and I was like, and the person's heart said, I'm going to have heart failure if they don't stop judging themselves, because it's creating a film on my heart. And I was like,
Yep. See, strong talk with Ambujam. It's like, they're like, I don't want to hear that.
And so I
like telling
asked
somebody they're going to get arthritis in 2 years or something.
Right. So I asked the person, hey, do you like judge yourself all the time in this very specific way? Because his heart was telling me exactly how he did it. And he was like, yeah. And I told him. And then I felt, oh, I need to put my hands on your heart. And so I used to do body work. I used to have a table in my house. People would come and I'd do body work. But then I was shifting and healing and up-leveling myself. And I didn't physically need to do anything anymore, because it was all happening energetically. So like what you're saying is like, yeah, I will keep being faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, quote, better, as I evolve, heal, face my deepest, hardest stuff. I just keep becoming more of who I am, just like we all do.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, the ability of how we heal together, all of us will keep getting faster and faster. And it's you. Like, it's
I think that's a good acknowledgement for everyone that
system.
perceived this that quickly, like I did, and because I agree. Like there's a willingness now to go there where there didn't used to be that willingness. And I do think that is, it's the togetherness.
It's the together. Yeah. And it's the ripeness, like an apple ripening on a tree. It's more ripe now. We're all more ripe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We are. And so, yeah, am I better and faster at what I do? Yes. And so are you.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Right? So we come together and it's like, boom,
ooh, boom,
Yeah. And it was years ago in group power healing, my gig, when it first started happening, I'm like, I got to find a better way to better title for group power healing. I'm like, it's kind of boring. And then I was like, and I would think about it and try to find like a really good title.
Yeah.
And then I was like, at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
The power of the group. Period. Nice and simple. Stop trying to be sexy about it. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
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 Well, and I think it's so interesting because sometimes people would rather have a one-on-one than do something in a group. But I've always felt like it's the group that really propels you forward. Like then you're really in the field, even if it's virtual. Like I think there's also some preconceived notions, like you've got to be in a room together or live, and no, it's not that at all.
No, you don't.
And I think, especially since 2020, where everything went on Zoom, right? I think people are more used to interacting like this now, that we can receive virtually. Like, oh, okay, yeah, this is real. and I know a lot of people before then already were doing virtual stuff for a long time, but yeah, it's kind of quote normalized, like, oh yeah, Zoom, totally normal.
Love it. All right. Just you guys, we have an inner circle with our group. So it's called the Healer's Haven and Lounge. So so if you think you raised your hand first, we will take our lounge members first, just so that you know, if you wonder about that. So our first caller is Joe. You're up.
Actually, what I'm doing is a confirmation of what you're talking about. Not to say I'm ahead of anybody, because I'm not. A couple of weeks ago that I went through some really, really deep stuff, and I did a few things to help that. And one of the questions I asked the guides when I was doing that is this cleared? And they wouldn't give me an answer. Yesterday, I talked to my daughter who went through almost identically what I went through with an ex. And when I talked to her, she told me, I've lost 43 pounds in 3 months. I went, because I relaxed and settled into my peace, I noticed that it shifted to her. As they say, clear yours, clear your descendants. And I saw,
Wow.
well, see, I heard physical confirmation that that actually happens.
It's
I just
powerful.
wanted to share that,
Mm-hmm.
but we're moving into that. And, you were saying I don't really know how to navigate. I found there's no navigation for me. It's just settling into my peace.
It's beautiful, man.
That's cool.
That is cool.
Settling in. I love that phrase, settling in. Because that could be used of what Spirit was talking about when Jeneth, you were asking a question about family stuff, is like, what if we settle in?
Yeah, it's
Exactly
much
it.
better than being content, right?
Yeah.
Ugh. It's just
And
such
there
a
you
heavy
go.
energy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
That's beautiful, Sharon. All right, Sherry, you're up.
Wow, thank you. What a call. Holy. I don't know whether to laugh or cry. I'm kind of doing both. And thank you, Joe. That's incredibly beautiful. So regret, Bujam, that I had no idea I was carrying so much. So any
How much? Okay. So normally I would have you feel this for yourself because that's important, but I'm not going to do that for whatever reason. I just have to say it straight. So I feel like now that you're aware of the regret in that way, I feel like a lot of that is your genetics, is your bloodlines. So, and it's sticking to, then I would ask you to ask yourself, well, what is my bloodline's regret sticking to in me, I wonder? And then what's there? What do you feel when you ask, I wonder what my bloodline's regret is sticking to in me?
disconnection. I'm trying to find the words to
Yeah, the words are hard, right?
yeah.
And what matters is you feel it. That's what matters, really. So I would start there, like what you feel.
Very sad.
Yeah, like that leap that we just did, and then the regret coming up, and then for you, what it's like bringing your awareness to, it's like, holy wowzers, that's a big It was like there all along, right? But for whatever reason, this session really like brought it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing I want to say is, as you're just kind of feeling your way through all that, like actually welcome this, because it's been underneath flavoring or motivating other things that can, when you said the word disconnection, I would have a different way of, it's like, it's, it's almost like this sadness that seems endless.
Yeah.
That is part of this thing now that's up. So it's good that you can get to this, because it's part of what motivates this kind of endless. And I have to say this, and I feel like this is going to be really helpful for everybody in whatever way. This next part is like, when you feel sad like that, it then like it happens in a split second, but like over time, it ripples into the ego mind always having to be a somebody. Like, I have to be this now, and I have to be that now, and I have to do this in the world, and I have to do that. Ooh, when will I think up my next best creation? That, a lot of that, if it's stressful, is being motivated from actually the sadness and this disconnection. So it's like, ooh, you just got like a prize to kind of empty out what motivates the identity to keep efforting to be a somebody that has nothing to freaking do with you anymore, you know?
Yeah, I get it. I hear you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Integrating. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I saw
Mhm.
it too. I saw it in my own, even when you asked the question, I instantly went to my brain, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, no, that's not it.
Oh, dude, that's so good. The place that you went to is the identity that gets informed from the sadness to keep going.
Whoa. Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank
Wow.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
It was
You're
a fun
welcome.
one. We have a question.
It's a fun one. We're going to poke your greatest identity.
Hi.
Oh, fun. I mean, it is, right? Like, oh, hey, thanks for showing me this whole thing I thought I was, and I know I'm really not. That's cool. Yeah, that's a big one.
We had a question on the YouTube chat that
Uh-huh.
I thought might contribute to the whole group. She was wondering if you could do some healing for anger. She's like, I'm feeling a lot of attack energetically, and there's a lot of anger in the system.
Oh yeah.
And it does seem sort of
Yeah.
like that might be sort of a little bit of a fight of a collective,
Yeah.
especially after the election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One way or another, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some might feel attacked, and some might feel happy. Some might feel some other way, right? Like so there was always maybe this
This
duality.
push and pull.
Yeah.
Duality is a good way
You
to
know,
put it.
and I just want to share this, regardless of quote who's in office, who isn't in office.
Sure.
And this isn't just for the US, okay, this is for all. This whole election that has happened in the US, and then other things that are going on in the country, foundationally, what this is actually opening is a massive ability to empower ourselves. Like huge. It's unlocking something, I could use that word, that we can be in who we are in our power more than ever, and it feels so freaking good. Like, ooh.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's-
and anger, doesn't that usually show up as a potency, right?
Well, at the end of the day, anger is hurt. Hurt first, anger is the ripple. Always. I've never seen anger just by itself hanging around.
I think it's kind of misidentified as a potency. Like, I'm mad at myself for choosing this, so I'm gonna.
I see it as a potency when transmuted into utilizing that energy for something else, right? So like, because it's such a crux energy, that when transmuted can be quite quite potent
Mhm.
because you see people that are like mad or sad to say again, when maybe like someone was taking from them early and then they go create this really massive foundation and save a lot more lives from it, right? So that was a channeled and transmuted inner form of that energy
Mhm.
that may not have come otherwise. That's how I view it though.
That's a good way to, let's not.
So I'm gonna just
learn
take this
from it.
conversation a little bit this way for a second. So when the person on YouTube brought up the anger, and then we're having this conversation, and then I shared about the empowerment part, from the truth of who we are, all of our experiences happen from within. Okay. So to be a mature, walking, I don't even have a word, to live out a spiritual truth. Let me put it that way. To live a spiritual truth means we are not putting our power to a situation to decide how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because if somebody pokes my arm, I'm like, my arm hurts. You did that.
Mhm.
True. But it's how I then feel emotionally that then runs my life. That person
Mhm.
poked me in the arm and left. Now I'm having my emotion about it.
Yep.
And my physical arm hurts. Okay. So this is where things become very challenging to speak about with words. So, but from a spiritual truth, my emotion to what that person did to my arm is my emotion. It's mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's fully 100% mine. They did not hold me down and hold my arms and legs down and tell me, you will now feel frustrated. I feel frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't make me feel that way. They poked me, which then this is my feeling. I could have felt sad. I could have felt scared. I could have felt happy. I could have felt, oh my God, the person's joking around with me. Cool.
Or
I could
that's
have felt,
cute.
yeah.
Like
I
the
could
way
have
you
felt
did about
a
the
million
yeah.
things, right? Yeah, about the
Lamppost.
telephone pole.
Yes.
So with the election, with underneath it all, it triggering this really beautiful ability to empower ourselves more deeply. It means living this deeper spirit. What comes with that is living this deeper spiritual truth, which is I'm going to live this, let's say, I'm going to video, so make sure I do this right. So if this is me and this is my situation, I've been living this way. My situation dictates how I feel, and then I live my life. But if I turn it down around to the spiritual truth, my situation's out here and I'm first. I choose how to live. I choose how to be. Even my situation is doing what it's doing. And I'm not saying this to spiritually bypass anything. It's more of this deeper evolutionary choice to say to myself, this is mine though. Regardless of who's in office, let's just use that as an example. My feeling about it is my feeling. And I'm going to empower myself to wrap my arms around my feeling and be that and own it for myself. I'm not going to let it leak out there. And it's like, and even all that's not it either, because it's this deeper empowerment that the election is actually triggering. It's triggering a lot of light within us, but we can miss it because we're looking either out there or in other areas. But I want to say this light is here too. Okay, there's something very amazing happening right now. Very, very amazing. If you look for it, if you feel it, and I know that you all feel it underneath. Around the amazing thing is emotion, idea, concept, belief, and judgment. Okay? Nothing wrong with any of that, which is going to bring me back to this anger thing in a minute. But the opportunity happening right now is self-empowerment is synonymous with this is how I'm being. I choose. Self-empowerment doesn't mean I'm going to give all my power to a situation and then just keep leaking my energy to that. And being angry at, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to live as an empowered sovereign being, which means all my feelings are mine, period.
Mhm.
And I choose how I feel that. I choose how I navigate that. I choose how I hold that. I choose what to do with that. It's mine. And I'm not talking about the collective. I'm not talking about attack. And I'm not talking about something else that then attaches to that.
Yeah.
It's foundational. So
Mhm.
self-empowerment is not just this thing that we feel and are able
Yes.
to do every now and then. It's, well, if you're self-empowered, how would you then act and be? How
Mhm.
would you then act and be as an empowered being? And so, and that's a, it's a practice and a process, and it takes time to
Yeah.
embody that, right? But I feel like I just have to say that there's something, this US election is opening a very powerful light and energy and empowerment within us all. And of course, it's not the only thing going on in the world is this election in the US.
Right.
There's a
Sure.
lot, right? But
Right.
it's this one thing. Everyone is, it's loud right now, obviously, because it's a current event. But
Yeah.
it's opening something it's very potent. It's very empowering. And Spirit is just telling us right now, we don't see the whole picture
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
what this will actually lead to. We don't mentally know. But if you feel the power of it, what is the power actually pointing us to within ourselves? Like Joe said, if we just settle in, what's actually at the end of the day, what is this all pointing us to?
Mhm.
Right? So with that said,
Let's
the
share
anger.
let's share the package, and then
Okay,
I
yeah.
kind of feel like we addressed the anger, don't you? Or unless you feel like we haven't. Is there
Well,
more to be said here?
I'm going to simplify it. When you're feeling angry, that you feel like you're out of control with your anger, you feel like it's bigger than you. First thing, how much of this is mine? Stay with
Yeah.
what's yours. Stay with what's yours. Stay with what's yours. You don't have to get rid of what's not yours. When you stay with what's yours, whatever
Yeah.
was not goes away
Mhm.
eventually, if not in a split second. Okay. Realize that the anger is the last ripple effect feeling that you're feeling. Where is it? Why is it there?
Mm.
So you don't like bypass it, avoid it, or just be like, well, it's the last thing, so I'm going to feel this. It's honoring the anger, but it's not the first feeling. It's just not. It never is.
Mm.
So for time's sake, that's what I want to say.
Okay.
But yeah, my package, I totally forgot about. Thank you for remembering. So you guys, I'm
So if you want more of this,
yeah,
maybe
I am
that's how it should
super
start.
freaking excited about this session. So when I was asked to be on this call, I'm like, I want to do a live session. And so I was feeling into, well, what would the topic be? And it was the first thing that came through was holiday leap. I'm like, ooh, cool. So
Mhm.
here's the thing. At the end of the year energies, your very specific aspects of yourself, your emotional stuff, your pain, your traumas, your fear, all of your significant stuff that is completely related to your propelling forward and leaping forward into who and what you really are and your next levels of self into 2025 will get triggered because they have to. It's you going through the next levels of yourself that actually help you break free and into your next levels of yourself. So this whole session, meets you where you are, works with these aspects of you that will and are being triggered to propel you into your next levels, help them heal and awaken and do their thing super fast, and then leap and leap and leap forward into the 2025 energies, working with the current transformational energies that are so fast right now. So this whole session is just this massive propelling forward, clearing the old super fast. And just like when we're together today, there's so much to learn when we're in, this group energy. So that's what it is. That's the overview is clear the stuff super fast, leap forward, and be you. and use this holiday propelling energy to work with and power up yourself. Then I also included 2 group power healings that are over 90 minutes each that were recorded live, and they are specifically chosen to then support you in this process of propelling forward. So that's the simple overview, and all the info is there in
Yeah.
the sales page.
So the date
Oh, the
for
date,
this
the
is
24th, November
Yep.
24th at 12 Eastern to 1:30 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, November 24th. Yep.
Perfect.
And you guys can come via proxy too. So if you can't call in live, it's on Zoom. If you can't call in live, I include you in the session by default. So whenever you register, so once you guys buy this package, you'll receive a link to register for the session on my end. And also that's where the 2 group power healing
yes.
replays are as well. It's on the same page. So you can download those, and then all the Zoom info will be on that page too. And so when you register, you're automatically included in the whole session in case you cannot call in live. But call in anytime during the session, and then the replay will be ready after the sesh.
Wow. What fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
for
much
sure.
fun.
For
New
sure.
stuff.
So it's just a
Good
massive
stuff.
leap, man, what we're
Yeah.
going to do. Leaps, plural. And what's cool when we do
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
do our work together is each one of you, how do I describe this? So when we do our work together, it's the quote future energies that aren't quite here yet that meet you, so you can start assimilating and receiving and clearing and being those now, and they always come. And so whatever the 25 energies that are for you next, or what's coming up in the end of year energies, they know you, they know exactly where you are in your path, and they work with you to give you a head start on 25 stuff and the clearing and embodying all of that. So yeah, it's just jam-packed. It's always jam-packed.
Yeah. And you tap into anybody that's also going to buy this in the future. So if they miss this and don't hear this call
Yep,
until after. Yeah.
Yep.
Love it. Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm changed because of this call.
I feel
So
I
you can
feel
only
like so
imagine
light and
what
loose.
90 minutes of this, healing activation would be like. I mean, that was what, 2 minutes, and I am changed.
Like 2
I'm
minutes.
changed.
It was a little
Wow.
unresistant,
And
but-
probably.
It was like 10,
so
but-
rapid fire.
I feel like gone from time and space.
Yeah, you're right. But yes, I was like, I mean, like I said, my voice has changed. You
Yeah.
know, it's amazing. So I highly encourage you if you feel called. I mean, Ambujam's made it. Her pricing is amazing for these types of phenomenal experiences. You
Mhm.
guys, like, really. If you have any questions, email us at team@howhustle.com. We will either answer them or get them in front of Ambujam to answer as well. We just want to make it super easy for you to choose you. Really, always an
Mhm.
invitation. Yeah.
Wow, fun. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and that's always the answer. People have asked me throughout the years, should I come to this session or which one? And I was like, dude, it resonates. It's either yes
Yeah.
or no. Like, that's a
Oh,
simple
totally.
answer.
Yeah.
Right? It's a
Yeah,
yes or a
it's like
no.
if you're called, then
That's
it's for
it.
you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you
Yep.
need to know.
Yep.
Yep.
Sure.
Wow. Well, thank you, you guys. The package, it will be on the YouTube feed. Right now, I'm going to put it on the chat. I just realized I didn't do that for you. And it will, of course, be in the email. So,
Yeah, and we'll put it on the chat right now.
yeah. So,
So choose
there
it,
Yeah, and it
is.
was interesting when I was like, I just want to make sure I said the correct date. When I was going through the dates, I'm like, well, when does this session want to happen? I'm like, does it happen in November or does it happen in December? Because I never choose. I always tune in to like the most
Oh,
conducive
cool.
time. And I kept feeling, ooh, the 24th. And I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. So that's before the Thanksgiving kind of opening
Uh-huh.
and the holiday and stuff. So yeah, it's a good date.
Yeah. Well, I'm so grateful that you came back. And
Thank you for having me.
Of
And just letting
course.
me,
God, it was so good.
So
kind of
good.
take over because I can't
I
help
know,
it.
I love it. I sort of wish more speakers would take over in a way.
Please
No,
take
Ambujam.
over.
Ambujam's got it's so cool. It's so amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much. Thank you all. It's so good to see all your faces and
Yeah.
very cool. Yeah.
Fabulous. All right, everybody. You guys have a great day. We've got a couple announcements, so I'm going to unpin Ambujam and we're
Let
going to
her
go
go.
through them real
Yeah.
quick.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
All right. What's our announcement?
So Thursday,
Exciting.
I have Alina
Uh-huh.
that I'm speaking with. Her
From-
brand is Go Happy Belly.
That's
and
right.
She has a profound story to what brought her to this work. And she has some really profound stories on how she heals the body through gut health.
And we actually met her at the blocks.
Blocks,
So
yes.
a fellow Blockser, very compelling story.
For those of you that are new,
Yes.
Blocks is a reality show that we filmed over the summer that is coming out next year that we were a part of. So it's just kind of a cool thing. We met so many really cool entrepreneurs that we've been, demonstrating some of them as it goes.
And 90,000 people apply every year, and only 120 were in our group. So it just kind of gives you a level of the types of people that we're bringing by from the blocks.
Yeah,
the
they're
cool
great.
thing is
Really-
they are really great. She's going to talk a little bit about how energy plays in. And so how our gut can really, really either block or bring forth even channeling energy that has things to do with, I mean, gosh, she talked about if we have a parasite, how we may be attracting other,
Well, and
parasitic
what
energy.
I know is a lot of the people who have disruptive gut health also has disruptive minds.
Yes.
And like the parasites that are in your gut is also
Can be controlling
your
things.
mind.
They actually can be, fascinating work. So be sure to chime in on the chat and ask her questions. She can talk about how parasites will
She's
even know
really
if
knowledgeable.
you were getting a test. So to find out if you have a parasite, isn't that crazy, y'all? So just very much, they are very clued in. And so they think for themselves. And so think about what that might be doing to our energetic, siphoning. So just know and come that we have another way in which you can be empowered is really what this show has always been about as well.
Yeah, a little bit different conversation.
Yeah, fun.
We do have a couple offers that are going away. And one of them is with Kat Schwartz. Her group, she has a huge group therapy event. It starts on Wednesday tomorrow. And it's just incredible. And I want you guys, if you haven't, paid much attention to her, or you've seen her in the newsletter, but didn't dive all the way in, I would highly recommend that you just give it a listen. I put it in the newsletter and I would recommend that you check it out. Last thing I want to say is we have this little group that Leonka and I facilitate called the Healer's Haven and Lounge. And I wanted you guys to know that you're always welcome to join at any time. It's $37 a month, and there's a little box.
Joe's clapping his hands because he just loves it. So thank you, Joe. Yeah.
There's a bunch of you in the lounge, and at some point, I guess we'll probably have you guys come on.
We said that, yeah.
Sharing some of the changes that have happened from the lounge. But if you are interested in just kind of, diving in deeper for some regular healing and to awaken your gifts and your healing path, this is the group for you. Give it a look. You get a lot of different discounts and bonuses. Every one of our calls that we've ever done, you'll get access to, and the ones in the future. So there's an ongoing learning, but mostly it's just an amazing small community where we are, helping each other grow who they are as a infinite being.
Yeah.
So if that calls you or you want to check it out, we're happy to answer any questions. We're even happy to have a conversation with you about it if you would like to, if you are considering it, because it's such an amazing group. You can see some of the chat. Yeah.
Well, and for those who are just listening, so it's growing. It's such a blessing to be part of the group. We have got great souls in there. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Shara. We love having y'all
and
in the
that
group
link
as well.
it's super simple. It's lounge doubt. No, not doubt. It's lounge.hustle. embodying.com. It's also in the chat. And if you are watching on YouTube, it's at the bottom in some of those links. I just feel like it's important. Sometimes we just go on by and forget to talk about it. And would love to grow this group with some really compassionate, amazing people like yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So again, join us next Thursday, all new. I won't be here, but you'll be amazing.
But I'm a
conversation.
nutritionist.
I know. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, right. I'm a nutritionist. I'm educated and degreed and had done it for a while. So I know a lot of stuff just to get myself dangerous. I don't do it for a living. I'm a hypnotherapist by living.
Yeah. So awesome.
Podcaster now.
There you go.
Thanks to Lianka.
I love it so much. Well, thank you guys for joining us. As always, we always enjoy having you here. And with that, we'll say bye.
Yeah, I'll see you on Thursday. Bye.